This is the story of a building. This is the story of the Public Record Office of Ireland. Consisting of two distinct parts and faced in cut granite, it was built between 1864 and 1866. To the front was the Record House, a three-storey over-basement building with staff offices, a library, a binding room, and the public search room where readers could consult the archives. A caretaker lived on site in an apartment in the basement. Behind the Record House was the Record Treasury, an enormous building where the archives were stored. The Treasury building contained 100,000 square feet of shelving with records accumulated over 7 centuries. The archives' collections touched on almost every aspect of life in Ireland, including census records, wills, maps, parish registers and town records from across the island. It also documented the growth of the state, recording the payment of taxes, the enactment of laws, and the birth of the Irish Parliament. Beneath this main hall was a vaulted basement storage area which survived the fire and is still in use by the National Archives of Ireland today. The two sections of the Public Record Office were separated by an isolation space. At 3 metres wide, the space was intended to prevent any accidental fire in the Record House from spreading to the Record Treasury. In April 1922, anti-treaty forces occupied Dublin's Four Courts buildings, where the Public Record Office of Ireland was located. The occupying forces established their munitions factory and store in the Record Treasury building. In an effort to dislodge the anti-treaty garrison, on June 28, 1922, the National Army of the pro-treaty Irish Free State commenced a bombardment of the Four Courts. On June 30th, 1922, an explosion in an adjacent building started a fire which spread to the Record Treasury Central Archive storage where munitions were being manufactured. The fire destroyed so much of the building that only the outer wall remained standing. On July 2nd, Minister of Finance Michael Collins visited the Four Courts complex and noted in his diary that the site needed to be secured to protect the remains. Within a matter of days, the Office of Public Works received official notification from Collins that the coordination of the salvage operation was their responsibility. By July 17th, the staff of the Public Record Office began the momentous task of retrieving the records from the rubble. Gathering documents found amongst the ruins, staff then sorted and identified them. In just under a year, they packed 25,000 sheets of paper and parchment into nearly 400 bundles. Everything that was retrieved from the wreckage was wrapped in brown paper, labelled and secured with string, preserved and patiently waited to be dealt with. It would be a century before staff of the National Archives would begin working on these salved records. By 1923, the Public Record Office was repaired and staff had resumed working on site. Reconstruction works then started with the main consideration to prevent any future loss through fire. The architects devised a construction plan that aimed to reduce the amount of inflammable and perishable materials used. The building was made of reinforced concrete, while fireproof walls and doors were installed. These would automatically close in the event of future fires. In 2011, a 5-year project to refurbish the National Archives Four Courts repository began. During that time, the entire repository was cleaned and painted, which vastly improved the environmental conditions for the records. The basement, originally constructed in 1867, only required fresh paint and new shelving to bring it into the 21st century. 100 years after its destruction, the building continues to protect and preserve the archives of the state.